I'm going to make a pulled pork ice cream sandwich. Is a sentence that no sane person should ever say. But I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway, and it's going to be delicious. With unctuous smoky pulled pork and a sweet and tangy chipotle barbecue sauce rippled through a rich vanilla ice cream. It's going to change the way you think about ice cream forever. Don't believe me? Well then stick around to find out. Even if you're not interested in pulled pork ice cream, I've got an awesome ice cream sandwich hack that you can use to level up any flavour of ice cream sandwich you like. You could use store-bought vanilla ice cream for this, but homemade ice cream is so much better, and I've got all the ingredients here to make a single serve batch. If you'd like to make a full batch of around 1 litre or a quart, just take the ingredients that I'm using and multiply the quantities by 4. To start with, we need an egg yolk, which means we need to separate the yolk from the white. I find the easiest way to do this is to split the shell in half and pass the yolk from shell to shell, letting the whites fall away. This is one of the simpler ways to do this. There is a quicker way, but that method comes with a few drawbacks. And now, the absolute quickest way to separate an egg yolk from the white. And although we only need the yolk, don't throw out those egg whites. You can use them to make a very small pavlova or a really disappointing omelette. To my egg yolk, I'm adding 40 grams of caster sugar and whisking that together until it's smooth and creamy. And then to that, I'm adding the milk and cream together. Whisk those together until they're really well combined, and then put the saucepan over a medium-low heat. Heat this gently, stirring constantly, making sure to scrape the mixture away from the bottom and the sides of the saucepan to make sure it doesn't get too hot. Our goal here is to raise the temperature to around 80 degrees Celsius or 180 degrees Fahrenheit. That will start the egg yolks cooking and thicken the mixture. But you don't want to get it much hotter than this. If it's too hot, the eggs will scramble and your ice cream will be full of eggy tasting lumps. If you don't have an accurate thermometer to measure this, that's fine. Just gently heat it until it's thick enough so that when you pull the spoon out and draw a line across it with your finger, you get a nice clean line with no drips. And then I'll pull that off the heat and let it cool for a bit while I prepare the pork. This is some pretty standard barbecue pulled pork. A tasty barbecue spice rub, cooked low and slow till it's smoky, juicy and unctuous. Then to this, to reinforce the smokiness and add a bit of sweetness and tang, I'm putting in a generous squirt of Sweet Baby Ray's honey chipotle barbecue sauce. And because this is a dessert, I'm going to sweeten it up a little bit further by adding an extra dash of honey. Then back to the ice cream. Normally, I'd churn this in my ice cream machine, but because it's such a small quantity, I'm going to freeze it in a Ziploc bag. I'm pouring this through a strainer just to make sure what goes through is nice and smooth, and then sealing the bag when all of the mix is in. The other reason for doing this in a bag is that I saw a technique online suggesting that if you put a bag full of ice cream mix into a larger bag full of ice and salt, that you can make ice cream super fast. So I wanted to give that a try. And it was useless. It didn't work for me at all. Maybe I did something wrong, but for me, I just ended up with a wet, salty mess. So a more reliable method, at least from my experience, just pop the bag in the freezer. After 10 or 15 minutes, pull it out, move the contents around a bit to make sure that it's cooling and freezing evenly, and put it back in. Repeat this a few times. Don't handle it too much because you don't want the heat from your fingers melting the ice cream, but giving this a regular agitation as it freezes should stop it from freezing solid, and you should end up with some nice creamy ice cream. Once this has a nice soft serve consistency, I'm adding in the pulled pork and sauce. I don't want this to be entirely mixed in. What I'm going for is a rich vanilla ice cream with a smoky pulled pork barbecue ripple. And then to make it the perfect shape for an ice cream sandwich, I'm piping it into a ring mold and then popping it back in the freezer to firm up. It wouldn't be an ice cream sandwich without something nice to sandwich it between, so I've got a nice brioche bun that I'm going to toast up in a pan with some butter. But not just any butter. To complement the flavors of the pork and the ice cream, I'm making a flavored compound butter by mixing softened butter with a generous sprinkle of ground cinnamon and about 1.5 teaspoons of sugar, and then mixing that until it's thoroughly combined. recommend. And even if you're not interested in making pulled pork ice cream, if you like ice cream sandwiches and you're going to take one tip away from this video, it should be this. The compound butter is absolutely going to take this to the next level. Spread a generous layer of our compound butter over the surface of the buns and then lay them face down in a hot pan to toast. I like to put a gentle pressure on top to make sure that the entire surface of the bun is in contact with the pan, because this gives you really even browning. Toast the buns, checking them occasionally until the surface is crispy and brown. And because of the sugar in our compound butter, the buns have not only toasted, but they also have a creme brulee-like layer of caramelized sugar, which will give a beautiful crunch and a lovely hint of caramel and cinnamon. Then assembly couldn't be simpler. I'm just taking the ice cream from the ring mold and gently sandwiching it between our two warm and toasty buns. And now for the taste test. Okay, here we go. I have to say, it's pretty good. I think the real highlight is the crunchiness underneath the bun. That layer of caramelized sugar stays really crispy even after it's been sitting in contact with melting ice cream. It really is a treat. The textures are phenomenal. It's squishy, it's soft, it's fluffy, a little bit chewy, crunchy, warm, cold, creamy, and ever so slightly meaty. The pork is subtle, but blends with the other flavors really quite well. I'm actually surprised how good this is. The barbecue sauce is a little bit muted. I was expecting a little bit more of a tang. I'm actually curious. Yeah, you know what? That makes it even better. Why not check out this video for some more crazy kitchen shenanigans? Until next time, happy stacking.